I mean, I'd eat dragon meat.
Oh, yeah, totally. Like, I mean, ethically, I don't think I could go out and kill a dragon, but, like, if it was killed and served up to me...
So, if ethics weren't a concern, you still think you're capable of killing a dragon?
Well, let's say, like, the dragon, like, stole my gold or something. I mean, I think it'd be well within my right to slay that dragon.
Or, like, cucked you.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Really not much.
Speaking of relationships being ruined, let's talk about Sleepwalker.
Sleepwalker!
Sleepwalker!
Yeah.
He's walking in your sleep.
He doesn't.
Sleepwalker! He's dreaming your favorite dream. Sleepwalker! Your girlfriend's breaking up with you. Sleepwalker! There's a demon inside your head. Sleepwalker! Watch out for 8-Ball. Sleepwalker! Bookworm's gonna summon. Sleepwalker! Bookworm has a guy coming. Sleepwalker! Watch out for lullaby. Sleepwalker! Oh god, it's Psycho. Sleepwalker! Rick Sheridan. Boom, boom. Sleepwalker! He's super cool. Sleepwalker from the guy who named Megatron. Sleepwalker! He is sexy. Sleepwalker! People are mean to him. Sleepwalker! Watch out for him missing his gaze. Sleepwalker! He makes me gay. Sleepwalker! Yeah, 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 yeah. Sleepwalker! He's purple and blue and green. Sleepwalker! He's like a color-swapped hobgoblin. Sleepwalker! When Rick Sheridan is in his body, then Hobgoblin comes to get him. Sleepwalker! He teamed up with Spider-Man. Sleepwalker! The Thought Police went inside his body. Sleepwalker! Watch out for the OID. Sleepwalker! Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Sleepwalker!
Yeah.
You like Sleepwalker?
I love Sleepwalker.
I
don't think either of you two probably loved it.
No, I really enjoyed it. Probably not to the height that you did, but I had a very good time reading Sleepwalker. There's a lot of fun, really stupid shit that happens in there.
Yeah. Welcome to Read Weens, episode 16?
Something like that.
Something like that. Today we're talking about Marvel's most underappreciated hero, Sleepwalker, who was created in the 90s by Bob Budiansky?
Yeah.
Who is most notable for he did a lot of the work on the American Transformers comic. He's the creator. He pretty much he did the English names for most of the Transformers, Megatron up a bunch of them. But his biggest dream was to make Sleepwalker.
Yeah.
So he did that in, I think it was 92?
Yeah, 92 is when the run
91. June 91. And it ran for 3 years until 94. And then it mostly stopped there. Sleepwalker has been in a couple things since. He was in a couple issues of Fantastic Four. There are a couple issues that we read that kind of tie into other issues, like Darkhawk number 19. And over the years, he was in the Carol Danvers Miss Marvel stuff. He was in a couple issues of that. He most recently was in Iron Man number 25, which was the final issue of the last run of Iron Man. And he's in one panel talking to Hellcat. Which leads into the Hellcat Mini, which starts, for us, it starts tomorrow. So whoever's watching, it should be out already. So if you want more Sleepwalker, go read Hellcat, 5-issue series. I'm so pumped. And then during the Infinity Wars event in 2018, there was a 4-issue Sleepwalker run.
Yeah.
Sorry, I saw the red light was on that camera, and I was like, what?
I think that's just showing that there's power to it.
What did we cover?
We covered the whole run, so 33 issues, as well as the Infinity Wars run, which was 4 issues. And then I also read the holiday special.
I also read the holiday special.
Okay, you read the holiday special. Thomas did not. And then I also read... Did you read the little... Did I put the little
the
mini...
anthology? Yeah, the anthology. I did not read the anthology.
It's like... There is... So, in... I think it was like 2004, Robert Kirkman was posed to write a new Sleepwalker run. He did not, but the story, like the first issue was composed in a little... I think it was called like Epic Anthologies or something like that. It has, like, the first appearance of, like, Sophia Strange. It has 3 stories in it. I only read the Sleepwalker run because I only cared about it. And there's some interesting stuff in it. Rick Sheridan's not in it. He's, like, inhabiting a different mind. I think his name is, like, Dave Daly or something. And he's kind of like a strong name. He's like he's kind of a scummy guy. I think there's some interesting stuff in it. Sleepwalker doesn't show up until the last panel because he's trying to figure out, like, what keeps happening? Like, things keep, like, moving in my room. It's kind of like a poltergeist situation. He's like, are people breaking in? So he leaves the camera, and he's like, okay, it's time to see what it is. And he's just like, what the fuck is that? And it shows Sleepwalker, and that's the end of the issue. I think it could have been pretty good. I like most of Kirkman's writing, so I could have been a fan. I do... really like Rick Sheridan, though. Actually,
he's a fun character. He reminds me a lot of like just a more down on your luck like Peter Parker.
Yeah, no, he's got the Peter Parker dynamic minus all the benefits that come with like the fulfillment of being a superhero.
Because he's like, I gotta go to sleep. Even when he like kind of accepts Sleepwalker, he's like, I guess I'm going to bed, so that you can do work. Which it's like
he just gets all of the downside of like all the superheroism.
Well, and it's also kind of like
dump him.
It's like a reverse of Peter Parker because Peter Parker's like kind of like a nerdy guy, and then he gets powers, and he in some of the continuities he gets like cooler. While Rick Sheridan's like, yeah, I'm like a successful film student. People like me. I have a good job. I get to like live rent free.
He has a good relationship with his girlfriend.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, I can't go to sleep at all.
My life's
falling apart. So I actually like really like his dynamic, and I think that some of the later arcs in this series are like rushed because it got canceled, but he kind of starts losing it and being like, I can't do this anymore. And I think that stuff works pretty well and is fun, like character ideas are circling around.
Yeah, especially like towards the end of like the little war arc, it felt like everything was wrapping up very, very fast. And it felt like one issue, Rick's like, I don't want anything to do with you. And then the next issue, he's like,
I'm dead.
Yeah, the next issue, he's just dead.
Yeah, because they were doing like one episode arcs because it's like, I don't want anything to do with you. Get out of my body. And I was like, all right, I have to like fully commit my body to you now. And then they fuse, and it's like, shit, we gotta unfuse. And they swap bodies, and then he dies.
And he fucking dies.
And is dead for all intents and purposes the rest of the run until... Spoiler alert! The last, 2 pages.
Yeah.
But, Sleepwalker.
See, I really just want to talk about the villains of Sleepwalker, because they are... They're an eclectic bunch.
Before we do, I just have one thing I have to say.
Go for it.
Every time I read Sleepwalker, I just pictured him with Arnold Schwarzenegger's voice. I don't know why.
Actually, I kind of I'm like, but apparently, and I think it's like Fantastic Four, like 644 or something, Rick's talking to them, and he says that, so this is now just canon in the Marvel Universe, but he has the voice of someone like Vincent Price.
Oh, that's funny.
Which I think works well. So one thing in Sleepwalker is the first issue, he's kind of like this skinny alien kind of freak, and then by the end of it, it happens with all the 90s Marvel heroes. He's just like this jacked monster.
Brick shit.
And I think it kind of is pretty funny in this because they don't explain it at all. He just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and I'm like, oh, it's because he's close to the ground. He just keeps getting.
I didn't really notice it until we.
It's very subtle.
Yeah, until we met some of the other. What are they called?
The Sleepwalkers. No, that's the name of that. The race. They're the Sleepwalkers.
That's the name of their race.
Yeah.
Oh,
he doesn't have a name.
Yeah,
so they just call him the Sleepwalker.
The Sleepwalker.
I see.
Everyone else had a name.
I was gonna say, I thought they were called something else.
No, they're just the Sleepwalkers.
That group did because they were like the extremist group, but that was I don't remember what they're called.
Yeah,
because they're not actually Sleepwalkers either.
Okay, yeah, but when there were a lot of them on the screen and they were all brick shit houses, I was just kind of like. When that one particular one that had his hood off, that was the only way I could tell the difference between the two of them. So this one doesn't wear his hood, and
I definitely noticed as the series went on, I'm like, oh, there are just more abs on him now.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is I do appreciate in the Infinity Wars they differentiate how they look. Like they have different clothing or they have a different color hood or something.
Some of them have hair.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was nice. Now, why didn't they bring 8-Ball in for the Infinity Wars small series? I hate that they brought back 8-Ball, but they didn't bring back Bookworm.
I think Bookworm's so cool. Like, not as like a character, but like the design space I think is really fun.
Yeah. I like that a lot of the villains were spawned directly from Sleepwalker just interacting with the world. I thought that was pretty fun.
I like that 8-Ball was just a random guy.
He was just a fucking dude.
I love that the first interaction, he's like, you understand you're ugly alien too. He's like, nah, mister, I'm just wearing a hat.
I'm just a dude. I really like when he showed up again, he's just zooming around on a floating 8-Ball with Hobgoblin. That was just funny.
Yeah, no, that was.
And then he's just fucking chucking he's just like cue balling people at him.
Yeah.
8-Ball's just such a funny fucking villain.
In 8-Ball's debut issue, there's a scene where he goes and it looks like he's gonna just fucking use a pool cue to fucking not like break a car window.
Mm-hmm.
But then he like hits the car and it just goes through a fucking like brick wall behind it. I thought that was a pretty good sequence of panels there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, fucking.
No, I loved 8-Ball. I loved Spectra. I liked Lullaby. I liked Bookworm. Like there were. I really liked Psycho. Psycho was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'd say I like most of these villains in concept. I think I would have liked maybe a couple more reoccurrences from some of them.
Yeah.
And it really feels like they're trying to set up an interesting rogues gallery, which I think they do.
Yeah, no, it's
but then it was canceled before they can really do something. Because I think what they do, like that final arc, I think is an interesting mid-arc to do.
Yeah.
Before they like kind of do more of their reoccurring like own villains.
Mm-hmm.
But then they didn't get a chance to do that. Like, God.
Yeah.
Because Bookworm, like Return of Bookworm would be great. I do think Spectra's, I love her design. I think it looks great.
Mm-hmm.
And I like her character, but it feels like we're missing a middle chunk.
Yes, I agree.
Because it's like, well, we need her to return to help him in this final arc, because they probably knew it was getting canceled. Because for whatever reason, nobody wanted to read Sleepwalker.
Great.
Psychos.
There's a really funny panel during the fight with Psycho where he's like, he needs to like restock on mind energy, and he like gives it to some random guy. He's like, I need you to hit yourself with this mind rig. He's like, I'd be insane to do that. He's like, you are now. He's like, yeah, you're right. I'm going to do that now.
I do like Psycho's, like, where it's like, sorry, I just make people insane. Like, that's good.
There's a scene where, like, the cops are, like, trying to control, like, this crazy mob that he made insane. He's like, you can't keep me down. I'm trying to fly to I'm trying to fly to Mars right now. Just a bunch of silly stuff like that. Just really fucking funny.
Yeah. So, alright. Well, what's, like, your guys' favorite, like, issue or arc that you guys read throughout this?
I actually think that the Color of Blindness 4-issue arc about like Sleepwalker's like addiction is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I would say maybe that one. I in general think that this whole series is very fun. I will say that the Color of Blindness is the last arc I think that has like great art, because about halfway through, Brett Blevins left drawing it, and he was replaced with Kelly Krantz, who I think is significantly worse in the art department. I don't think it's terrible, but it definitely took me a while to get used to it. I really don't like the way he draws like faces as much as Brett Blevins. But
I really like the 6issue part with Hobgoblin and 8-Ball. I thought it was really fun. I thought the setup was a good idea.
That's the whole arc where they like switch around.
Yeah, the body swap. I thought that was interesting. I think I like body swap stories, and I think that if like Sleepwalker handles it uniquely well, just because they're already kind of inhabiting each other, sort of.
Yeah,
I like the idea that Sleepwalker sleeps for the first time. He's like, nightmares are fucking terrifying. You guys live with those?
Yeah.
I just like I like the way that they had to handle each other. I thought it was really fun to see, Rick get the shit kicked out of him by all like just everything, because he's like, I don't know what to fucking do. I like Sleepwalker being Rick, kind of stumbling through his own like small human problems. I thought it was very fun, kind of. I like what it would have done for the characters had this run gone on further, because I think that has a lot of interesting implications.
Yeah,
because a lot of their whole dynamic is split on, they don't really ever see eye to eye. They kind of just live with each other. Sleepwalker more than Rick. Rick is actively getting dunked on in life by having Sleepwalker around. But I think it allows them to kind of see eye to eye and connect a bit more. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I think what was your favorite, I guess?
I think my favorite was probably like the first like official kind of arc they did, where it was that like government agency that was like, we're gonna Ghost Rider like showed up.
I was so I picked when I saw the issue, I was like, that's fucking Ghost Rider.
Yep. In all of his flaming glory.
Yep.
Nick Cage.
They have the Thought Police.
Yes,
the thing. The Thought Police.
Yes,
that's good.
Oh, the Chain Gang. Almost forgot about the Chain Gang.
The Chain Gang. Was the Thought Police like a term back then, or was that just a happy coincidence?
I think it was just a happy coincidence, but I saw that like that's just funny.
Yeah,
it's just really funny.
No, I'm sure it probably is. I feel like that kind of rhetoric is used a lot with like just authoritarian kind of things. So it's like, yeah, but. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, fucking...
And what I appreciate is, like, I don't think it's ever subtle, and like, but, like, I do like this ongoing, like, struggle with Sleepwalker to connect with, like, humans, because he's constantly trying to do what he thinks right, and is usually right in the situation, and then everyone's like, I hate you! You're ugly and stupid! And you don't wear pants!
Yeah.
Like, I'm just...
Like, so much of the conflict just gets pushed on by people just being like, you look evil, you're doing evil stuff. Like towards the end, like the last arc, like Spectre's just trying to gaslight him the entire time.
Yeah, but he's always just so understanding about it. He's always just like, yeah, understandable. Like, they're like, because it usually gets resolved and they're like, I'm sorry, like,
and he's just like, no, I get it. If I was in your place, I'd do it too. Like, we're good.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, I was kind of surprised. I wasn't sure when starting the first couple issues how I was going to feel about it. And there's definitely, like, it's got some, like, issues, I think, conceptually that I think held it back in connecting from, like, a growing audience. Because it's like, there are some things about the concept that just don't feel, like, fully utilized. And I don't necessarily, like, think, like, the author intended for them to be, but it's like, it feels kind of like a missed opportunity when you're working in, like, this field of stuff. But it's like, I don't know, because it's like, maybe stuff he could have grown to do had he had more time, and maybe he would have. It seemed like he was kind of starting to touch upon it, but like, I feel like eventually him and Rick would have like reached that more synergy where they would eventually work out all the kinks. And
Well, I think that's like, he pretty much does that at the very beginning of Infinity Wars, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, I like that intro scene a lot in Infinity.
So because I do think that Bob like seemed like he was getting to these points, and there are a lot of things that they're working up towards. So it really is upsetting to me that it got canceled, because I'm like, I think that there are, like, conceptually there are comics, like superhero comics, that I think are better, but I think, like, beat for beat, this is one of my favorite comics to read. Like,
it was
issue to issue. It was just very fun.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Like, even like the early issues where it's just like, it's villain of the issue, like whatever. But like all the villains are fun. They're not super serious. They're they're cool in their own ways. Also, I really like just all of the nightmare arts that just goes on. I feel like, if anything, they could have gone more crazy with a lot of, like...
Gumby's in it.
Yep, Gumby is in it.
Wait, what?
There's... When the Thought Police are attacking Rick Sheridan's mind, little Ricky is, like, summoning people to help him. He's like, I need some friends to help me. And you see silhouettes of different, like, action figures and stuff, and Gumby's right there.
I didn't even notice.
Oh,
Wait, was he a silhouette or was
Yeah, I have a picture.
You remind... I screen capped. I only screen capped with this one, but I thought it was the best fucking line out of the whole fucking comic.
But I really liked a lot of the Dreamscape, like, artwork. I thought
He's right there.
Oh, so he is.
Gumby.
Yep.
But what were you saying? You like the Dreamscape?
Yeah,
Gumby.
all of the Dreamscape art, all of the Nightmare. I really like Cobweb's design. I think it's really. It could. I wish it was. I wish they leaned harder into just like how like fucked up a lot of the art.
Yeah, I think. Well,
it's very tame for what it is. I think.
I actually like it, but in general, for superhero comics at this time, I feel like it's pretty fucked up. Actually, I like the design space. The more, like, horror-centric elements of Cobweb.
I thought they were alright. I wasn't super crazy about Cobweb. And maybe it's just because, like, there wasn't enough time, but, like, with the build-up and the payoff, it didn't... I would
have liked to see more from Cobweb. He was very much just, like, I'm the guy that hates Sleepwalker the most.
I definitely wanted, like, an issue where, like... Obviously, you don't want Spider-Man to come in and, like, clean up the mess, but I would have liked maybe, like, at the beginning of an arc or a crossover or something where, like, maybe Cobweb's somewhat involved, because I think just, I don't know, the idea of Spider-Man acknowledging a cosmic Cobweb villain in the
and Sleepwalker kind of makes the connection. He's like right after Cobweb gets introduced, Spider-Man shows him, he's like,
you're evil!
That's Cobweb!
Yeah. But I love... one of my favorite parts of this series is when Rick Sheridan first introduces the phone messaging to him, and he draws a picture of Sleepwalker pressing the answering machine button, and then the next night he draws a picture of Spider-Man and he puts good, evil, like that. So good.
Yeah, I wish they had continued that idea more, and also with ways that communication between the two of them could have resolved it, had the series run for more and more years. Is eventually maybe fucking Rick could have gotten with Alyssa, and then she could just act as a fucking medium. Hey, Sleepwalker wanted to let you know this, instead of, oh, let me find some fucking way to leave a message real quick.
I am sad that they didn't continue that little gimmick, because I thought it was really funny and really simple.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Alright, but you have a favorite panel?
So there's just one line where he's talking and he's like, oh, it attracts them like mouses to a flame. And then Spectre's like, you mean a moth? And he's like, I don't understand the attraction a mouse would have to a moth. More pressing issues here. And it's just that line fucking killed me. And it's funny because, surprisingly, they don't play up Sleepwalker's, ignorance of, human tendencies.
But it makes it funnier when it's just randomly what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, no. So that just got me. If I was watching Star Trek or something and, Data said that line, I wouldn't laugh because he says shit like that in, every episode.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But if he didn't say that all the time...
it'd, hit you like a brick when he does, so...
His doofiness is definitely, it's played very well. It's not constant. He has
it seems like he's confused all the time, but just holding it in, and then he bursts out. He's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, pretty much.
You guys are weird.
Yeah, but Sleepwalker.
That's the main Sleepwalker. The Infinity Wars 4-part series it was fine.
Yeah,
it was alright.
I love the original run of Sleepwalker. I liked Infinity Wars enough. I didn't read the actual Infinity Wars. I was thinking about doing it, but I just wanted to read the Sleepwalker stuff. And it's I think the Sleepwalker stuff itself and the little journey he goes through is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I like the look of it a lot. I like how he's drawn in this one. but it's like mostly like an arc that he's just a part of that I don't really care about. I like Little Monster. That's
Little Monster.
fun.
Little Monster was cool.
Yeah.
Tiny Hulk.
Yeah. Fucking. Yeah, the fucking Infinity Wars. Yeah,
it was a fun little read. It wasn't.
Yeah, I thought it
crazy to me.
I like that they decided to just give fucking Sleepwalker his own little run because this is his like first solo anything since
in like 25 years.
Yeah, so fucking it was nice to see that. And yeah, I thought they nailed his characterization, and it felt, even though I'm like 90% sure that the continuity that this takes place in is like 2 continuities at least removed from.
It still feels like it could have just been like the next or like 50 issues later because they feel like more complete characters.
Yeah, no,
especially just like the way that Rick and Sleepwalker interact with each other, like they're pretty cool with each other. So it seems like a lot of their like issues are mostly resolved.
Yeah, fucking. But yeah, like Infinity Wars was interesting. I like the concept of him having to like basically like kind of leapfrog on the back of like people who have like attachment to the specific like realms and stuff.
That was cool.
I thought that was interesting, and I like the process of him having to like go through this big journey. It didn't feel big enough. And it didn't.
Yeah. Well, like, and that's the thing with like these big events is they'll usually do like 4 issue like tie-in stuff, and I'm like, that's not enough. Like,
yeah.
It's my issue with most big events is like you're not making this big enough to really make like matter.
Yeah.
Like I think maybe 6 issues could have done it.
Yeah.
But like some of the like stones, he's just like, oh, it took 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I do like him reading his own first issue though.
That was really funny.
Yeah, I wasn't super big on that.
I don't like that. I like the panel. I don't think like the library itself is a great idea, and they also do that kind of shit all the time.
Yeah.
But I think the panel of him reading his own comic is fun.
Fair enough. Fucking. But I will say, for as flawed as Infinity Wars was, I thought it was a much better tie-in than whatever the fuck that was halfway through the original run. But obviously, I didn't.
Yeah, it was like 2 issues or whatever, like 1 issue.
It's original one Chain Gang one, or which one?
Yeah, I think it's the original Chain Gang one because that one I struggled a lot with because I didn't feel like going out and tracking down a copy of that one issue, so I just jumped in blind, and I was like, wow.
It felt very just like.
It's like
whatever.
There's like fucking because if it had been solely on like one plot line or the other, I think it would have been fine.
Oh, do you not the Chain Gang? Do you mean the Darkhawk one, where he's like in the middle of saving the city and Sleepwalker shows up?
That's the same issue, isn't it?
So issue 10
because it opens up with the Chain Gang, and then you have this big segment where it's maybe they were established in like the issue that like. The crossover happened. But they ended up gotten forgotten because they were involved in that crossover.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I didn't have... Maybe it's just because I have, like, we all have, like, a knowledge of, like, the Infinity Gauntlet, I guess, because of Infinity War and Endgame.
It wasn't that aspect of it that was getting me. It was more so, like, who the... I'm not familiar with Deathlock. I haven't read any of like
Deathlock was pretty fun
material.
Oh
yeah, but also they didn't do a good job at explaining like what the fuck was up with Spider-Man. He just shows up and it's like, apparently he's in
Brooklyn, or it takes place in New York. So
he was in the Dreamscape or whatever. Like he was, or it seemed like he was somewhere else. Like they had to go get him from somewhere.
Oh, okay, yeah. So these are 2 different issues. So. Chain Gang is the Infinity Gauntlet stuff where Rick Sheridan disappears. That's in issue 10.
Yes.
And then in issue, I think it's like 18, that's when Darkhawk is in the middle of just like saving people at the very beginning. And Sleepwalker's like, I gotta save you. So that ties into a different Darkhawk issue. I'm less annoyed when it's like if it's Infinity Gauntlet, I'm like, okay, that's just another story that ties into it.
Yes.
I'm more annoyed when it's just like, it's a 2-parter of 2 completely separate series, like Darkhawk. Because I'm like, I don't know.
That was the thing, because I didn't go out and read that first issue, so I was just reading the second half to it.
Yeah, no, me too. And there was, I was reading most of the, like, editor corners or like where they talk at the end, and they were like, "Don't do that again." They're like, "Okay."
Yeah.
It's funny. What's nice about it is like they would just publish like all of these questions, and like half of them were like semi-critical, and they would just be like, "Okay, I'm glad you liked this part. I'm sorry you didn't like this one. We'll keep this in mind."
Yeah, I can't help but wonder if that almost like contributed to the downfall of Sleepwalker.
I think
obviously,
most
perception is a big thing with that kind of thing.
I think a lot of comics at this time were pretty like aware of themselves. They had things like that in most of them.
Because a lot of it was just like mailing stuff.
Yeah.
Also, they call their fans sleepyheads or snoozers. I think snoozers are my favorite.
That's a good name. Any snoozers?
I think one of them they just said like walkies or something. But yes, I'm a dedicated snoozer. I think
big snoozer.
But yeah, it's just a cute little thing. They also had a part. One of the endings was like questions for Rambo the dog, and they would just answer it as if Rambo was answering it. It's like most of them they'd be asking about characters. He's like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't care. Do you care about me the dog though?
I see.
That's good.
I think so. In the middle of like this last big arc, they did a side story. I think it was like issue like 30, and it was just like a side story that takes place before everything happened.
Oh yeah, I didn't like that. I
didn't like the momentum, but I think that's one of the best. I
didn't think it was a bad story, but yeah, I thought.
And I think it's just like they knew they were about to be canceled, so they're like, I guess we have to put this here. Because they could have just put it if they had continued, they probably would have just put it at the end.
Yeah.
And I think those are the same people that wrote the Christmas special, which you should read. It's very good. I really like it.
Pretty good.
But yeah, I was worried because I've been hyping up Sleepwalkers. I really like those first couple issues. I'm like, what if the rest is bad? But I really like Sleepwalker. I think that there are some like creakiness to it and like things that are kind of bursting at the seams because they're like trying to finish it up because it's obvious it's getting canceled in the last like 8 issues.
Yeah.
But, like, I can't really blame the writer for that.
Yeah, it's just one of those
There's not really much you can do.
I think for what they, like, had time for, they finished the arcs up good enough that they could have, I guess.
Yeah.
I like the conclusion. I think it's a pretty, like, satisfying conclusion, even if it's extremely quick. And I like the character of Sleepwalker a lot. I think he's pretty intriguing.
Yeah.
He's definitely different. He's handled a lot better than a lot of like the alien stranded on Earth type characters, which is what they're very clearly going for. Like there is a level of you already know what's happening here. Like we can skip over a lot of this and kind of just go on to Sleepwalker being a giant weirdo instead.
Yeah,
which I really appreciated. It's a nice take on something like that.
One thing we haven't mentioned that I think was one thing that kind of surprised me about the series. I wasn't expecting when I was like reading the first issue it would eventually go down this route. I was expecting actually like the polar opposite, but Alyssa's character, I think for the most part she's kind of just whatever because it's like a lot of the like the two characters can't even have a half of a decent conversation to explain their points of views to each other, so they end up breaking up and she ends up dating a jerk, and it's like it's very Spider-Man in that regard. But I think the point in which I started to find it like really interesting was when she was getting invaded by the chain gang and stuff. There's that one where, like, obviously they switch bodies, and Rick in Sleepwalker's body fucking hits her with the beam, and basically, like... I
audibly gasped.
Yeah, I did too, because, like, for fucking 30 issues, it wasn't even something I had registered as foreshadowing. I just figured it was just typical, like, exposition comic. But he's like, we don't hit living things without beam.
Don't do that.
And then he does it, and it was to the fucking main love interest of the whole series, and it's just like, oh, fuck!
Yeah.
Like, she's just, like, fucking, like... warping.
Yeah, and I really do think they're setting up something really interesting to do, and then it's obviously, and it's not their fault. But man,
it would have been really really good because I like the whole dynamic between Rick and Alyssa's character, especially once they break up, because it very much is like what's happening with him and Sleepwalker kind of projecting onto them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And especially during the body swap, like it sets up a lot of interesting stuff, and there's a lot of interesting stuff that happens there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to say 2 things. 1, I don't know if it exists or if it's even still in print, if it ever did. Need to do a new trade paperback for Sleepwalker.
Never did.
Well, they need to.
Yeah, and I agree.
And 2, we're in a new Marvel continuity now. Might only last a couple years, so why don't you just do Sleepwalker 2.0, where it's like a loose remake where they can like maybe flesh out some of these earlier ideas a bit better, and eventually fully execute.
Just do like a 1-hour special on Netflix or on like Disney Plus. Like get the Rogues Gallery in there. Get Spectra. Get 8-Ball. Get Bookworm.
They just need to do like Moon Knight season 2. Just have a cameo with him in it, and then that'll
really
boost his sales like that. Like.
And the thing is, I think Sleepwalker, like, design-wise, I like his design. It's pretty basic. But, like, I think he fits in well with most characters, like, in the issues. Even, like, the Darkhawk stuff. Like, he fits in with a lot of these characters really well.
Yeah, he's...
Especially Spider-Man. I think his dynamic of Spider-Man is very fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got a very, like, mellow attitude, so he can pretty much just fit in wherever you kind of want to put him. You might get some eyebrows from some of the heroes you put him up against, but that just makes it more interesting.
I also really like his power set. Like, his like, reality manipulation with his eye beam. And I like the goggles they have. It's like, I can't use my eye beam. And he's like, Ghost Rider, I need you to take this goggles off or I'm going to explode in Rick Sheridan's mind.
Yeah.
Or he's like, no, I need you to kill me. Do it right now. I can't harm another person, so just kill me.
Yeah. No, fucking... Yeah,
that Ghost Rider issue is really good.
Yeah, it is. I really like that one. But yeah, fucking... Yeah, it makes me just wish that we could get, like, just a fucking MCU tier fucking Sleepwalker movie. Because I think, like, the fucking, like, Doctor Strange-esque practical effects with, like, the fucking reds and the moon, like, the eye beams and stuff could be pretty cool.
It could be cool.
Yeah. But
for now, we have the fan film, which is pretty bad. But it has a lot of heart.
Passion.
It's made with a lot of passion, for sure.
And I mean, it's bad in a certain sense. Like, the acting's not great, but it's all, like, really fun to watch.
No, I agree. I think the only thing with that fan film that I disagree with is I don't like I don't really like Rick Sheridan in it. Like, the way he acts.
I can see
he's
that.
kind of a dickhead.
Yeah. I never finished it, but I watched, like, the first half of it.
Yeah, we watched it.
Yeah.
It's definitely not the same Rick from the comics.
If you like Sleepwalker, though, you should watch it. It's fun.
It's your little crumb of Sleepwalker content.
Yeah. And we're getting a new run tomorrow! I'm a little afraid that they're not going to have, like... Because it's about Sleepwalker doing, like, an investigation. Because Hellcat is, like, framed for murder, I think. I'm afraid that Rick Sheridan might not be in it. I really hope he's in it, though.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Because you kind of need that dynamic between the two.
Yeah, it's nice.
Especially seeing as there's not a lot to, like, draw from. Like, there's not, like, other continuities of Sleepwalkers. Sleepwalkers only exist in this run than, like, the small, like, crossovers, right?
Yeah.
So, like, there's nothing really to... I don't think it's a good idea to draw on something else. Or
you need Rick Sheridan.
You need Rick.
Yeah. Or you need him, like, I need to find Rick. Like, that's what I liked in Infinity Wars. Is like, he's like, oh, he's my friend.
Yeah.
There's so much love in Infinity War. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can tell that the time off screen, they've really, like, come close.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Well, there's, like we mentioned earlier, like, there's the whole, like, oh, I need to get Sleepwalker out. It's like, oh, I tried everything, but talking to Doctor Strange, I found, like, meditation helps, and he just, like, comes out. I thought the panel where he emerges from his heart, that was sick. That was so cool. I really liked it.
There's a couple panels, as much as I was not as big of a fan of Kelly Cran's stuff, there's a panel that he did where he's, like, coming out in, like, 4, like, phases that I really like. Mm-hmm. It's in one of the earlier issues he did, but in general, I really like him coming out. Yeah. I'm going to probably get a Sleepwalker tattoo of him, like, emerging on my
leg. Get one on your head where he's, like, peeking out. Like,
hello?
Do that. That'd be great.
I can do it a full back tattoo where he's crawling out of my back.
You get his red eyes tattooed on your eyelids.
Or you could just shave, like, part of the back of your head and just have him back there just as a little, like, surprise.
Surprise.
Oh, Sleepwalker.
But yeah, I think Sleepwalker rules. I think it's great. I really enjoyed this read. This is probably going to be one, because it's also a short read. I'll probably just be like, I'm going to read it like once a year. Did you like it?
Yeah, I liked it enough. I don't think it's obviously like phenomenal, but I thought like for what it was pretty good. You could tell that it had some issues, but overall, I think it should have gotten a better chance than it got, and I would like to see it come back, because even if it's not like a full-fledged run, like I think if it does like the Moon Knight thing where like every 5 to 10 years he has like a short to medium-sized run.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how the new run of Moon Knight's been going on for like 23 issues now. It's been going on.
Yeah, he's had a couple like 30-ish issue runs.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how long this lasts, because I'm like, you're almost getting to Sleepwalker time. Yeah,
right.
Joe, did you like it?
I definitely liked it a lot. Don't read comics basically ever, apart from the ones you get me. But no, it was a lot of fun. I like, you talked about Sleepwalker a bunch. I've heard Sleepwalker mentioned randomly as like, oh, no one knows about Sleepwalker. If you know what Sleepwalker is, really cool. And I can now confidently join that crowd and say, yeah, Sleepwalker is pretty good. I like a lot of the ideas. Wish it was larger. Wish it got more time in the spotlight, because I do think it introduces and does a lot of cool stuff that I don't see a lot of other heroes do.
Yeah. But yes,
would recommend reading.
Yeah, I think we all recommend it. Probably.
Yeah, I even if like, I mean, maybe if you don't,
I guess if you don't like superhero, yeah.
Like maybe start with something a little more accessible first. But like, I think if you're looking for like, if you want to be one of those people who's like, hey, you know what the MCU's never gonna fucking have? Aside from Howard the Duck? Here you go, pal.
If you want to be that guy, is great for being that guy.
Yeah, it really is.
If nothing more than just that.
That's why I love Sleepwalker, so I can be that guy.
Yep.
But yeah, it's good. It was much better than I was anticipating. So that was
I'm very surprised at how like. I really liked a lot of the art style. I really liked it a lot. I didn't like the art style in the Infinity War as much. I think there was a lot of character in like the 90s like comic aesthetic.
Yeah. I'd say like there were certain panels in Infinity War where it worked. It really worked.
Oh yeah, no, the him emerging from his head. Oh, beautiful, gorgeous. But like just like panel to panel, issue to issue, I really liked the 90s aesthetic more. I think it worked a lot.
I think
I feel that way about comics in general.
I think both of the artists, Kelly Krantz and Brett Blevins, did a much better job with like the mindscape. Because it's like, I think the really strange and like bizarre.
It read
in Infinity Wars, it's just like, it's just a place.
It's just a place,
Like, no, it shouldn't just be a place. It should be like 40,000 places collapsing in on itself.
Yes.
No, really, really good. All right, it is my turn to pick. We're not leaving the world of comics.
We're not. Because we're reading Animal. But no, what are we reading?
We are going to be reading. I don't know. We're going to be reading Invincible.
Okay. There's 25 volumes of Invincible.
Yeah, I did a little bit of looking. It looked like the first season covered the first 13 issues.
That sounds about right.
So I figure cover like the first 26, 30.
Here, why don't we look up like an arc thing? That way we don't make.
How about
make sure we don't like cut off in the middle of something?
Why don't we?
So I didn't have a lot of time to do research.
I think the easiest thing to do is we just split it up how they do it in the books.
Okay.
There are 3 compendiums to Invincible. I think we should just cover what's in the first compendium.
Fair enough. So that is going to be
Invincible Compendium 1.
I'm going to be one of the cool people who hasn't watched the show but has read the comic. Which
that covers the first 47. So
Perfect.
it'll be a little bit more than we read today, but like by like 8. So
yeah, that's fine. I was reading through it. I'm just like, I kind of want to read more comics. I'm like, Invincible Season 2 comes out later this year.
The compendiums are also the best like price point because
I think that's what I have as one of the is the first compendium.
No, you have the
I have the first omnibus. Not
no, you have the first just hard deluxe edition.
Okay.
So because I think it's really funny. Currently, we sell 4 different versions of trades for Invincible. There's the little one, which I have on the shelf, which are like $10 to $15 a piece. Yep. There's 25 of those. You have the first hardcover deluxe one, which there are 12 of those, and those are, I think, 30 or 40.
Something like that, yeah.
Then there is the soft cover compendiums, which that covers all 150 issues in 3.
Well, yeah, 144 is the count I saw.
Yeah. And that one, those are only $60. So that's the easiest way to buy. You can buy it all in like $180. But reading out of a compendium is like horrific. It's a horrible experience. Yeah. It's not terrible when you're like in the middle, but like the first part, it's like this. And the even worse experience is they just came out with the Invincible Compendium in hardcover, the first one, which is $100. Oh, God. However, what I will say is omnibuses and hardcover compendiums look great on shelves, and then you open them up and you're like, why did I buy this?
Yeah, they're extremely good.
Yeah, I have the Darkness Compendium and the Saga Compendium up there that I need to read. Yeah. And I've looked through and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, no, I've got some of those like big fucking like Golden Age Superman omnibuses. I know that they're not like exactly the same, but they're big.
No, omnibuses are so obnoxious to read.
I like these omnibuses for one piece. Like, I think these are really easy.
I think this is like, I think manga in general, like single volume mangas are too small. Yeah. The same thing I think, like, before we go. So, like, in general, when things get collected, they're like 4 to 6 volumes or 4 to 6 issues, and they're usually about this or a little bit thinner. Yeah. I think this is like the ideal size. They were reprinting, this is the Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle run, and they were reprinting this, and I think this is like the ideal size. You want to hear something fucking insane? Yep. So this first volume, $30. For 12 issues, it's better than most pricing. But watch this. Second volume. How much do you think this costs?
$55.
Probably like, I'm gonna guess maybe like high 60s.
Wrong way, buddies.
Wrong way.
$17.
Damn. Okay.
And I'm like, this is insane. I will also say, next time you're at a comic shop, just go look at the prices of Marvel comics versus DC for specifically trades. Significantly less for DC.
My Spider-Man trade collection, maybe I'll make a video where I like show it off sometime to the channel, but I've dropped a lot of money into that versus like my almost as shelf-filling like DC like Superman stuff, which I spent way fucking less money on. So it was like, goddamn.
The only things is DC hardcovers randomly jump up in price when you're like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, no, I need to fucking...
But like omnibuses for Marvel, they'll be like this thick. Probably expensive. They'll be like this thick, or maybe a little bit more in hardcover. They're like $100.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Like, god damn it.
Yeah, even like their just standard shit, like it goes out of print so fast that like you're gonna be paying high prices for it unless you get it at launch.
What's the average price between like a DC paperback and like a Marvel paperback?
So that's a good question. So I think $16 to $20 for a DC paperback that collects maybe 6 issues.
Mm-hmm. What an individual issue is like what?
$4 usually. Okay. If it's a card stock variant, it's $5.
Okay,
and that's like regular size stuff. There's a lot of oversized stuff lately. Comics are about to go up in price. Like in general, it seems like there's a trend that they're probably, but comics readers, you know, they don't want to spend $5 or more on a comic. I spend a lot of. I spend between $25 and $40 a week on comics. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Every time I'm like, I need to read this, and then I don't read it.
Yeah,
But I like the feeling of a single issue, and then I read it. I'm like, that took 5 minutes, and I spent $4 on it.
Yeah, like as much as I love the idea of supporting single issues and collecting them, it's like trades just.
I was gonna say it feels like single
most
issues
cases are not.
Marvel
economical.
It's the same price or more. Marvel, they're fools. Well, actually, they're not because they make money still. But like in general, they did the X Lives and Deaths of Wolverine. They did 12 issues in total. They were $4 a piece, so $48. There is only a hardcover so far, and it's $50.
That's pretty good.
It's more money than the single issues.
Oh, never mind.
Hopefully it gets a soft cover.
If it gets a soft cover, it'll still probably be $40.
Probably, yeah.
Which is not a very good deal.
Yeah, it's typically, it feels like the going price for that kind of stuff.
But in general, and what's also funny is image books in general are even less. Trades for image books used to be $10.
Okay.
For like 4 issues.
That's pretty good.
Image also for a long time, all their comics were only $3 instead of the usual $4. Spawn is still only $3 because that's their moneymaker.
Well, that's the one thing everyone knows Image for is Spawn.
Spawn, Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Invincible
now, yeah.
But in general, I have so many, like, if you look on the shelf, that whole top row is just Image stuff because it's so much cheaper to get. And even if you look at the, like, Marvel DC stuff, like 80% of it is DC because it's just so much cheaper. And in general, I like DC more.
Yeah.
At least comic-wise. But yeah, that's our little rants about comics. But cool. I'll read Invincible. I don't know how I'm going to read it. I'll probably pick up the paperbacks because I do want to have it physically eventually. Thomas is going to find it on the dark web.
CDRs, baby!
I will probably just continue my collection of just what I have.
Depending on
how many issues are in there, I'll see how economical that is.
Yeah. I mean,
I think there's 8. So you would need 5 more.
Oh, never mind.
So you would spend $240.
Yeah, no. I'll just probably pick up a compendium then.
I might look at the individual issues, but I might
or individual issues maybe. I don't
know.
Not the issues.
Yeah, I'm like, guys,
the skinny.
The first individual issue is going for like thousands.
Yeah,
never mind.
I might.
They just did a facsimile of it though.
Yeah. I might look on eBay for like a lot of like the old skinnies. That's what I did for like my Ultimate Spider-Man collection.
A lot of those are really expensive right now.
And I own them all.
Oh, I meant Invincible.
Oh, I meant, well...
Ultimate is not worth anything right now.
Yeah.
Well, some of it's like $8.
I've got the Ultimate Spider-Man, which I know the omnibuses go for a decent...
Yeah.
At least last I looked. But the single issues, it seems like they vary price secondhand, depending on where you look. Because obviously people try to fucking crank that shit up, but...
Yep.
Yes. Anyway...
We did it! Sleepwalker! Next, Invincible! Next time! I'm about to sneeze again. Goodbye, everyone!
Play Grandma.
Or don't.
Ah! Oh, God! I just knocked over a bunch of books!
Uh-oh. That's anti this show.
That's very...